driver interviews, pit action, industry news. We're bringing you everything that fuels the adrenaline-pumping world of dirt track racing. Buckle up now. You're sitting with the Slimy Bastards. Take it away, Jason.
Well, welcome to the Slimy Bastard Podcast Show. Season 2 is officially on our way. This is for first podcast of the season, and I got a special guest here joining me. First video of the show with the racing side of it, so I'm pretty excited by it. And quick shout out to Ryan's Customs Lures that's helping me with the podcast, along with Slade and Des Pitt out there with Pit Stop Motorsports there in Rock Springs, Wyoming. And without these guys, they've been helping me along the way. So huge thank you to them guys, and pleased to join original OG, I would say, in the racing industry. Look at this sexy fucker sitting here. Justen Yeager in Rock Springs, Wyoming, or Green River, Wyoming, but you're up in your place in Pinedale. So welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been I've known you for quite some time, and guys have asked why I haven't had you on and that, and I just kind of wanted to make it where it's more. Normally I have 2 or 3 guys on, but I wanted to do your own segment and do it with video and that. So yeah, it's been a while that I've been doing this with the racing side. So pleased to have you on for the first one of these.
Yeah, thanks. Be fun.
What do you how things been going so far for the year? You've been down in Arizona and doing some stuff down there, and what else you been up to?
We raced a lot this winter. The boys actually got like 14 nights in, so it was really good for them. I drove Kevin Wright's stock car down in Yuma, and we had some good runs in that thing. Had a chance to win the points and just didn't quite get it done, but boy, we had a lot of fun in that stock car. It was a good time.
Yeah, and I went down there. That was a ball. Like I had a great time down there, and thanks for letting me stay at your place, in your place there. And it was a ball. Like I'd never been there before. So I thought it was a great track, great facility and everything.
Yeah, that Winter Nationals is a big deal. It sure is a lot of fun. We like to get out of the cold of Wyoming and get down there to Arizona, and that's the really fun place to go. You go to one place for 2 weeks, so you just get a relax. You're not loading up and moving from place to place, and it's just a real laid back deal and a heck of a lot of fun.
Because that first week you were running your modified and stock car, weren't you?
Yeah, I raced my mod a couple times down there, but I kind of felt like I should just concentrate on the stock car. We don't know what the hell we're doing with that thing, but we're in the mix, so we're not too far off. But that ride height rule kind of threw us, so we were changing lots of things, and I figured I better concentrate on it and try to race what I can win. I think my mod days have passed me by a little bit. I don't know how much more I can win in them, but I'm going to have to get a little more serious about it and try to get back into the mod world a little bit, because I do love it.
Yeah. And I mean, you were saying when I talked to you too, I mean, there's a big difference. It's like night and day driving both of them. And
yeah, that stock car really reminds me of the modifieds 10 years ago. There, you kind of give up a lot on corner entry and just keep the car under you, and then really concentrate on exit. Where the modifieds nowadays, you better be up on the wheel. You got to drive them off in the corner, and even when it's slick, you get them in hard. So it's a lot different than it used to be. But it's a whole different deal. It was kind of messing me up going from one to the other, I think, which I've raced for a lot of years, so I shouldn't do that. But Yuma's format was tough, because we'd get out of the stock car and just step right into the modified, and you pull on the racetrack and just go green, and you're out there with the best guys there are in both classes. Right. And if it takes you 2 laps to get used to it, you'll drop back 10 spots in those 2 laps. So we kind of thought after the first week, I thought I better just put the mod away and concentrate on one car, being that we were right up in the points deal. So we did it that way.
And I thought you were going to win it. I honestly, I mean, you were moving and you would have been right there had you not got caught up the way you did, which is unfortunate. But I mean, all in all, I mean, it was a great week for you, or
Yeah,
two
it
weeks.
was. And you know, we didn't go down there with any intentions of being anywhere where we could even run for points. And the problem is I started worrying about that bullshit. I should have just freaking raced. You know,
Yeah.
my wife tells me all the time, when you start taking it serious, then shit goes south. Just get out there and race. And that's what I should have done, because I started getting pressure. I should have just had fun, and we had a good enough car to do it and caught some breaks. You know, Zane was definitely the best car down there points wise, and he got some problems there a few nights, so it got us back into where we were sitting good, but we just didn't
Right.
like close out. But it was fun anyway.
So you were driving Zane, one of Zane's develops modifieds and that. I mean, you don't have it anymore. What's your plans there? What are you thinking there if you get back into a mod?
I'm probably not gonna do. I'm just gonna concentrate on the boys for now, you know, and we'll see what happens down the road. I love that DeVilbiss modified. Probably one of the best cars I ever sat in. Honestly, I really liked the car. It drove really good, had lots of traction. I had no complaints with it. It's just hard with three cars. I can't afford to race three modifieds. You know, it just got to be too much, and it takes away from the kids. You know, I'm trying to get them pointed right, which they don't hardly need it anymore either. Braxton's better than I am now. And my younger boy, Bryson, he's getting really good. But the mechanical, he needs help just because he's green, you know, but he's driving good and he's getting there. But I'd really like to spend a lot of time with Bryson, concentrating on getting him to where Braxton is, you know, which he's getting close.
And those guys, I mean, Braxton, I mean, I think honestly had probably one of the best wins he had, and I would say in his career, just by the way he drove that race down in Utah a couple of weeks ago for the $1,000 to win race down there. I mean, wouldn't you say that? I mean, he's a different caliber right now, I would say.
He is. He kind of, you know, he came out to Iowa last year quite a bit, and it kind of turned the corner with him, and he's got that confidence, and he should know when he pulls through the gates that he's as good as most everybody there. So he kind of proved that last year. You know, he had a big win out in Iowa. He had a big win up in Montana, you know, and he had a number of big wins around our area. And he's, you know, Boone, he went to Boone, every big show there other than the Super Nationals, he's in the top 5. So he's in the mix now. He's just gotta stay at it and work at it. And he works his butt off at it. That makes a big difference. He's really smart. He understands the cars, and he really works hard at it. So, you know, and if he can keep keep working like that and keep Matthew involved, because Matthew is excellent help. You know, those
them two are two peas in a pod of.
Well, yeah, and that's everything. I mean, look at Ethan Braxma. That kid is unbeatable when he's got Drew Jensen pitting for him. You know, and Braxton and Matthew could get the same way if they just stay at it, you know?
Yeah. I have a ball with them guys when they're out here. I laugh my ass off at some of the shit that we've done. And we've had some good times this last summer, and that is actually a lot of fun.
I know. I wish I could just send them out there to race, you know, all summer, but we're just too busy at the shop, and both the boys have become valuable parts of what we're doing there. So I just can't do that, you know.
Even you say you enjoy watching the boys race and all that, and I can vouch for that. I mean, I think you get more enjoyment out of that than what you do racing of. You know, reactions and all that of.
It's fun when they're running good. There's nothing like it, but man, when they're running bad, it's freaking hard. That's when it gets really frustrating, and because you know, and it just takes time. And I knew that when they started in modifieds. You know, other classes are hard, but there is nothing like modifieds, because every driver has so much experience that you're lining up against veterans, no matter where you're at every night. You know, and we could have started Bryson or Braxton and B mods or stock cars, and they could have won a lot more races, but you know, we just felt like if we're going to race modifieds, let's race modifieds. It's easy. They got, you know, the engine deal's pretty economical. The they got good transmissions. They got quick change rear ends, so it's just easy. If you were packing around 9-inch Ford gears for 2 cars and all that, it would just be a pain in the ass. And it kind of sucks for Bryson because it's probably costed him. He could have won a lot more races starting out in the lower class, but he didn't want to do that either. I give him that option, and he's definitely like, I'm racing modifieds or ain't racing. So they'll get there for sure.
I was actually with some stuff that's popped up on memories and that, but Dad and we were actually at Braxton's first win there, and that came in Idaho Falls there at Idaho Falls. What's that? Isn't that Idaho Falls Raceway there?
Yeah, Idaho Falls. It changed its name a few times, I think, but we raced up there. That was an awesome deal. Braxton had kind of struggled the night before, and we kind of had to get after him a little bit. And the next night he went out and did really good. So that was, and he was really young at the time, so that was great.
And I recorded a lot of that, just of the reactions from, because Dad and I were with you up in the stands, and that Matthew was there, and that was a pretty cool experience of watching that, because you look back on it. I mean, I think that was in 2000. What was that? 2015, 2016, I think is when that was.
It probably was about that time frame. I think Braxton was only, probably 14 or 15, and we you win back
Matthew
then.
Matthew looked like he just hit puberty.
Yeah, they were just kids. Yeah. So that was good.
When did you start racing, Justin?
I started in 92. My first race was my graduation night, and I really was never real interested in driving. I always just pitted for my brother, Russ. He was racing late models, and we ended up buying an old Wasota modified. I took a loan from the bank for $2,500 and bought that piece of shit. And my dad helped me piece an engine together, and the first day I ever drove it, I hit the wall, knocked the rear end out from under it, and was running around crying because I was just a kid. I was devastated. I put all that time in it and went and crashed it, and that's where we started. But I'm too stupid to quit. I'm still doing this shit, So.
And was that in Rock Springs there?
Yeah, it was in Rock Springs. Yeah, that was when IMCA Modifieds just started in our area, so we got started and just never stopped.
Yeah. And then would you just go all over then? I mean, what did that look like back then?
Back then you really didn't travel a lot. It was a lot different. We kind of raced Rock Springs. They had a track in Hayden, Colorado, which is like 4 hours from me, and then we would go up to Casper a little bit. Casper's 4 hours from me. Every track we got is a drive, so it sucked. I mean, we used to race. We were lucky to get 30 races in a year, but we'd put 40,000 miles on a pickup truck to do it. And you tell people that in Iowa, and they're like, well, why do you even race? But we just love it, and that's why we got toter homes, because you have to. When I raised my kids at the racetrack, and they had to have a place to go, and you can't expect your wife to sit in the stands and deal with all that. So it's just way different in Wyoming. We have to travel to race. We have a fantastic local track at Rock Springs. It's one of the nicest tracks in the West, and we're lucky that we have a great promoter, and she keeps it going, and we get a race there a dozen times a year. And then there's some good tracks around us, but we got to travel everywhere to race.
Yeah because I actually first met you in I think it was Atomic City. Yeah. There in Idaho.
To do that, when we did that Wild West tour, we started hitting all them deals, and that's where we kind of picked up your dad, and he started going with us everywhere. And,
that's where it went downhill from there.
And I had more fun with your dad than probably anybody. He was the best.
Yeah. You have to look at the Facebook memories that popped up today, is the thing where the slide outs were out on the camper going down the interstate. And I put on there as like, in case anyone was wondering, Roger Olin made it home from Arizona, all right. Because that was just totally him, that's how he was.
For sure.
but the comments in that were just priceless, from like Ron Black and all them guys. I think even Ron Mosier piped up on it, and
Oh yeah.
It was pretty good.
First times your dad started going racing with us, man, he'd sleep in that Dodge until 2 o'clock, and he'd have a leg hanging out the door, and he'd stay up drinking till 2 a.m. And I was like, man, is he alive? We'd be drawing straws to see who's going to give him mouth to mouth. It's like, I hope he's alive in there. So
I kind of had that same experience with you guys down there in Arizona. Christ, I got such a fucking migraine that night before, Christ, and I didn't roll out of bed till noon. But that
yeah,
was I wasn't drinking or anything. That was the bad thing about that. But
yeah.
so when you go around, like, obviously Rock Springs is one of your favorite tracks. I mean, home track, I should say. But when you go around, what's one of the top? What would you say your top 2 or 3 tracks around that you personally like?
I just cut my teeth in Rock Springs, so I like it. It's big and it's fast. In our area, most of the tracks are slick and slow. They're a little bit smaller, but
Yeah,
it's really good racing, and there's good racers in our area too. We
right.
raced with for years that were good and fast, but Vegas was a big deal to us because Vegas was kind of like our West Coast Super Nationals, so we
Right.
always wanted to win in Vegas. And if you went to the duel in the desert and struggled, I mean, you were on suicide watch all winter because you just was so pissed,
Right.
you put everything you got into Vegas. But it's definitely not where we race. Ain't like racing in the Midwest. I mean, you guys got it. You guys got the racing out there. You go out there and you race 3-4 nights a week, and it's just a lot better deal, But
Yeah.
not to knock what we're doing, because we
Sure.
we have great racing too. And I went to Montana last year for the first time to those tracks. We run Belgrade 2 nights, and then we went to Great Falls, and we probably had more fun doing that than we've had in years racing. All 3 of us raced.
Yeah.
We took a couple crew guys, and man, we had a blast up there. That was a lot of fun, and I've been real fortunate to get to race with the boys. I haven't got to race with Bryson a lot,
Yeah.
as a competitor. So with all 3 of us doing it last year was really cool. We had a lot of fun, and there was a lot of nights Braxton went to Iowa, and me and Bryson just went together.
Sure.
So we had a lot of fun. Last summer was probably one of my better racing years, and we won some races, so that always helps.
Right. But when you say like on the tracks, on the track side of it, though, I mean, personally, like racing, I mean, where would you say your top, besides Rock Springs, what would you say your top track is that you don't like to miss or you love to race it?
Boy, that's a tough one. Honestly, I just kind of like racing everywhere. Honestly,
Yeah.
I've always wanted to make the Super Nationals, because that's the only big IMCA show that I've run and not made it. And I do enjoy Boone a lot. It's way different than anything we do,
Yeah.
surface wise. But last year I told the boys when we went to Boone, I said, you guys need to make sure that you're here every year. If you're racing IMCA, you need to just come and race this stuff,
Yeah.
So
You guys had a good showing there.
we did. We ran good. Braxton was probably the best car there that didn't qualify. I mean, he made features every night. He was really good, and he just didn't draw good in the features, so he wasn't quite good enough. But yeah, we did really well out there. So
Yeah. You raced Marshalltown and all that, and when you come back here and that, do you find a difference in between the dirt? I mean, obviously the dirt's going to be different from Rock Springs and what it is here in Iowa and that, but do you find a difference do you find it better for you personally, or do you think it's better for you in Rock Springs because you're so used to it?
we run on really dry, dusty tracks. We never get cushions. So it's totally different. When the first time I took the boys out there and they're up on a cushion, they're like, what in the hell? And I'm like, yeah, that's different, and we race in Sheridan a little bit. Sheridan's a long ways from us. It's catty corner across the state. So it's 6 hours, but it gets a cushion, and it gets a lot more like the Iowa tracks, I think. But we're better on our stuff for sure, because it's what we race on all the time. I mean, when they get black from top to bottom and clean off, then that's kind of what we've raced on for years. So we're a lot better. you know, you got to be good on all of it. So you can't, I guarantee you'd take the best guys in Iowa and they would come out here and they would be really good because they're just good. And you take the best guys from our area and they go out there and we're going to be good because, you know, we're good too. So you can race with those guys. And, you know, I used to not think so, but there's no doubt we can.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would you say, and I've been wanting to ask you this, you got your Mount Rushmore racers, right?
Yeah.
Who would you put on that? You got 4 guys. Who would you put on that?
On a local level or on a national level?
National level. And I'm just talking like IMCA. I mean, I'm not going all race like sprint cars or late models or anything. I'm just talking IMCA modifieds.
Well, there's so many guys. There's so many guys that are so good. That's hard because you'd have to pick 20 guys, really, you know. But I looked up to so many of those guys when we started that aren't even around anymore, and you can't even hardly remember those guys. But you know, like Kevin Larkins and Savoff and Murray, back in the day, those guys were unbeatable. I mean, they'd win everything. People don't even remember them now, and you know, people don't realize what those guys did when you can win as many races as they win every year and just never let up. It was so impressive to watch back then, you know.
Right.
So, but you could put Alvarado up there, I think, in my eyes, because I've raced Ricky so much and he's so good. And you could probably put Zane up there too. I mean, that kid is a racer. He can win too. So those guys, they're as good as anybody. It's hard out here because we're lucky to get 30, 40 races in. And back there, you're racing, you know, 70, 80 nights with your eyes closed. It's totally different. You know, we got to work really hard to get to 30 shows. And at 30 shows compared to 80 shows, you're not going to be as good. It's just, there's just no way you can't get caught up, you know?
Yeah.
So, but
and that's just it too. I mean, and maybe back then, I don't know if it was like that or not, because I just remember going like on Friday, Saturday nights, and then Sunday nights up in Mason City. And I don't know, and I could be wrong. There was maybe weekly specials back in the 80s or 90s that I don't remember, but it's a lot different than what it is now for sure on a lot of that level of
for you
in races.
We just kind of raced locally for probably, you know, our first 15 years, and we would go to Casper on Fridays, but it was a 4-hour drive to Casper and then 4 hours back to race here Saturday. And then if we weren't racing here Saturday, we would go down to Denver. And like the Denver area was the big deal out of our area. If you went to Denver and Fort Morgan and you run good, you were running good because that's where the fast cars were out of our area. So, you know, it was that's kind of how we started. And we would go to Goodland, Kansas at the end of every year. And sometimes we would go down to like Laughlin, Nevada to that Bullhead City or Mojave Valley and race. They had a big show, but that was basically all the traveling you would do, you know, and racing's changed. Now you're traveling every weekend. And, you know, I tell kids that I'm like, we used to not do that. We never traveled. We just kind of run our local stuff. And you were lucky if you got to go 2 or 3 times a year on the road.
Yeah. I seen Bryson pull some stuff down in Arizona this winter. I was like, holy shit, that took some balls to do.
Yeah, he's getting more comfortable for sure, and he's starting to settle in. And you know, like I was good last year, honestly, better than I thought I would be. And there was 2 or 3 nights that I had the race wrapped up, and that fucking Braxton would drive by me at the end. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how did he just pass me? I said, I was like dialed, and he did it to me 2 or 3 times in a row. And I think he was doing it on purpose. He's just waiting till the end and then rubbing it in my face. But I love that. I mean, I would rather them guys beat me every time I race them. You know, it was awesome.
So what's fun is when you guys get back in the pit, it's not like you're pissed off or anything. It's actually a pretty fun environment with all of you guys.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you know, even we had a 1,000 to win in Rock Springs, and Bryson beat me by a straightaway at the end of the year. And then we went down to Vernal, and Bryson beat me the next week by half a lap, you know. So he was getting there too at the end of the year. He was really good last year. You know, we'll get him back there this year. That ride height deal's kind of screwed him up. We've had to change some things on his car, so we got to get caught back up to it, but we'll get him there.
So you're planning on coming out here to do some of the big stock car stuff. coming up here in Spencer and that kind of thing. Is that still the game plan for you guys?
Yeah, we're going to come out and run at Spencer here, I think in about 2 weeks. So yeah, we're excited about that. Braxton's going to drive Justin Wright's stock car, and then I'm driving Kevin's stock car that I raced this winter. Braxton raced Justin's car down in Mojave, and he didn't get a lot of laps in it, so he's a little nervous about it. We need to spend some time on it and kind of get it better for him. But we'll get it better. I think Braxton will race his modified out there too, and then the stock cars. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. I'm kind of worried. I haven't been in that car in a long time.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can hold up with those guys, you know.
There's some guy went down to Britt last night for the opening night of down there in Britt, Iowa, and there was a couple guys asking if you were making the trip.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you must have got some heads turning with the wins down at the Winter Nationals. So it's actually kind of funny.
I really wish I could have come out this week, you know, and run these 2 shows they're having Tuesday and Wednesday just to get geared up for that. But I just can't miss that much work. I don't want to get fired.
Yeah, the boss behind you would be pissed off.
Yeah. My guys do so good when I leave, and I probably go racing too much. I don't want to piss them off, so I try to hang around and help them as much as I can, you know.
All right. You know, back to that Mount Rushmore deal. The reason why I brought that up is I was talking to a guy a couple nights ago over the phone, and we were talking about that of who would you put up there, and I never thought of Ricky Alvarado until you brought him up.
Yeah,
but God, you stop and think about that. Like you got Ricky Thornton Jr.
Yeah,
and then Ethan Dotson, I'd say, would probably be a good stronghold on that one.
Yeah.
And then like Kelly Shyrock, and then I'd say Ricky Alvarado
Yeah. You know, in my eyes, you know, you look at like, I mean, Shyrock was the best of the best back in the day in USMTS, but you know, Jason Hughes, he was one of the best. But you know,
there's another one. I never even thought of that one either.
Yeah. You know, Ricky Thornton, nobody's ever been as good as Ricky Thornton, I don't think, in the guy can just drive. But, you know, I was just thinking in my time, you know, you look at like, you know, when I was racing hard and winning 25 features a year, it was always Johnny Sathoff, David Murray. I mean, those guys were, you know, and I used to ask myself, how are they good just year after year after year? Because you would have those years where, you know, and I really noticed when Braxton started playing sports, I was like, well, the racing's not near as important, so you don't run as good. But those guys never had those lags. They were just fast all the time. And you're like, how are they fast all the time? And, you know, there's so many good guys that you can never say they're not. But there's those guys for so many years, you know, they were just good at everything. And that's why I say them too. You know, when I first started, I always looked up to Kevin Larkins because I run Larkins cars, and he was dominant. And he helped me a lot. And he's such a good person. And a lot of people probably don't even know Kevin Larkins because that's years ago, you know. And then we raced Kelly Bowen in our area, and Kelly Bowen was unbeatable. I mean, the guy was as good as any of those guys. But a lot of people don't know Kelly Bowen because he didn't travel a lot out of the area. He went into late models and was big. But, you know, he was definitely probably one of the best racers I ever was around, you know. So
when you came down to Boone this year, we actually had this conversation after one of the nights, just sitting there shooting the shit, and you and I talked about this of what was the first year you went to Boone to run the Boone Nationals? How old and what year was that?
That had to have been around, I would say 94 or 95 probably. I can't remember exactly, but I know it was probably my 3rd or 4th year racing. And on the way, I got hurt really bad. I got in a wreck at Stewart and messed up my ribs and my knee real bad. And then we just toughed it out and raced through the week, you know. But yeah, I haven't been to Boone as much as I should have went. It's just, it's really hard for me to miss a week of work, you know. So to take a whole week of work off when I was younger, I just could never do it. There was just no way, you know. I had a business to run, and I'm fortunate enough now to be able to do that a little bit, but I probably do
Right.
it more than I should, honestly. And my poor wife's never been on a goddamn vacation because every time we go, we got race cars hooked to the back. And
Yeah.
so Boone it was a hard deal for me to go to. It wasn't that I didn't like it. I always liked it and wanted to go,
Right.
but it's the whole week of work is just about impossible for me.
Yeah.
If I'm at the shop for 1 or 2 days a week, it just helps everything work out,
Sure. So even back then, I mean, wasn't nearly the cars that there are today, right? I mean, because we talked about that a little bit. I mean, how many cars would you say would show up back when you were
It
first
seems like
going?
there was more modifieds, honestly, but there was less of the other classes. But there was
Right. So
definitely
there's
more.
less of a car count, but more modifieds of.
Yeah. But it was kind of better. It's too much now. They need to split it up, and we can't be racing till 3 a.m, and then they're calling for us to draw at freaking 10, and we're like, Jesus Christ, we just went to bed. We got to work on our car a little bit.
Right.
So I don't know, and I don't know what they do there. Everybody goes because it's a good time, and they do such a good job with it. You can't. I don't know how you'd run that many cars through there. How they do,
Yeah.
They
got it down to a science.
They do. It's unreal that they can do it. There ain't too many sanctions that could ever do that. So and everybody wants to be a part of it. If you split it up, you're definitely going to lose a lot of that glamour, But
right,
it is hard. Like when you get a little older, it's kind of like, holy shit, I require a little bit of sleep,
Right.
So
Yeah, because that one night, I think it was 2 a.m. that
well, yeah, and then
up and.
But by the time you load stuff and have a little bit of fun, you're going to bed at sunup, and then I think half them guys got to be lined up, still drunk. I'm sure as early as they start. Maybe that's why they drive better.
It's a good thing Casey Delp doesn't make that trip then.
Yeah, I've been begging him to go. I'm like, God damn it, Casey, you got to go one time. Yeah, he'd love it out there.
Speaking of Casey, would you say that's probably one of your biggest, like you have your home track rivals and that, would you say that would probably be your biggest home track rival?
Oh yeah, for sure. In Rock Springs. Yeah. Yep. And man, I like the shit out of Casey. We've had our problems over the years, like everybody you race against, but
right.
Yeah, it's he's good for sure. When he's in the right equipment, he's as good as anybody.
Yeah. Because some of the shit that he says, I mean, God damn, you damn near piss your pants because you're laughing so hard, And
if you ever want to have a good time at the racetrack, you go find Casey after. If you're having a bad night, you just go hang out with Casey after, and it makes it better. Hell yeah,
he'll make you feel $1,000.
Yeah, he's as good as they come for sure. Yeah.
Well, Justin, appreciate the time and that, and look forward to getting you out here and seeing you again in person. And
yeah, it's going to be fun. I can't wait. We're going to try to get out and race in Iowa quite a bit this summer if we can swing it. At least try to get one of the boys back and forth quite a bit and let them do some racing and get better. That's how they get better. So we'll be seeing a lot of
tell difference.
Yeah, there's no doubt. If you want to be the best, you got to go race the best, and we'll get out there, and hopefully I can line up in that street stock, and we'll do all right. I hope it's a lot of fun in a stock car. The stock car deal's weird. You go out there and you win races and nobody cares because you're not in a modified. It's kind of funny how all the modified crowd, but hell, you're racing half modified guys too,
Right.
But it's hard to win in anything. If you can win in any race car, you're doing good. So hopefully we can come out there and have a little bit of success and have fun at least.
Yeah. You bringing Cuddles this year?
Hopefully we can get him out there sometime. Heck yeah.
I'd never laughed so goddamn hard and that's a story for another day, but
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
God, I'd never laughed so hard in my life with that deal.
That was a fun
so I had this cast put on, for what happened at me at work, and guys were giving me a hard time. They're like, Jesus Christ, did you get that on color on purpose? And I said, well, what do you mean? And they go, well, that's the Yeager yellow in that. And I said, well, fuck, I never really realized that till now, but I guess I'll have to draw number 33. I have 33, 33BY, and 33Y.
Hell yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
Put on it but I was trying to go for the Iowa Hawkeye color is what I was doing, and
Oh, shit.
it matches your the yellow you guys use all the time, and the perfect thing is you can't see my thumbs, so I guess I could wave you guys by singly. You'll know right where I'm at. Of
Yeah. Give us a thumbs up. Heck
you
yeah.
wouldn't need Matthew out in the infield in his little flag up
Yep, for
thing that
sure.
he wears of.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's a real quick of all the guys that help you guys out. I'd say Matthew. He's pretty good hands on. I mean, not only with Braxton's car, but I mean he helps out with even yours and Bryson's and that. And
He, he's gotten really good. Yeah, he's a good little hand, and he's gotten really good at watching the racetrack and telling us what to do and what he thinks we're doing wrong. And a guy like they'll double your wins in a year. People don't realize that. I had guys like that over the years, and they'll double how many times you win when you get a top-notch crew guy. And it's hard to come by because guys give up a lot with you. And we've got some guys that really helped us a lot over the years and still help. That we appreciate all that a lot because it's hard, especially when you start running two cars. When you got two cars, you basically have two half-assed cars. You don't have one good one. You got two half-assed cars. So you gotta think about that, and you gotta change the way you do things. And so when Matthew goes, it's huge because he can concentrate on Braxton, and then I can concentrate on Bryson a lot more.
Yeah.
So that's what we're planning on doing more this year, is just kind of train. When I was racing, it really, Bryson did a great job. He got faster and he worked his butt off, but it wasn't real fair to him because he needed some help too,
Right. Yeah, because you definitely tell when Matthew's around. I mean, I think Braxton feeds off of that pretty well and races a lot better too.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. It's hard when they get older and they got lives, and everybody goes separate ways. I've had guys like that over the years, and they just kind of disappear, and you can't blame them. I mean, they work your butt off at it. It's they get kids and other things, and they can't do it,
Yeah. Well, Justin, I'll let you get to your Saturday afternoon up there in the snowy mountains of Wyoming there. And
all right, Jason.
Enjoy the rest of your day and appreciate the time and that. And we'll
appreciate you.
And again, thanks to Pit Stop Motorsports out there in Rock Springs, Wyoming, and Ryan's Custom Lures. Find all the links on my websites, on TikTok. Download, share, and give me some feedback of what you guys would like to see. Until next time, thanks again, Justin, and toodaloo, buckaroo.
All right. See you later, Jason.
See you, man.
Driver interviews, pit action, industry news. We're bringing you everything that fuels the adrenaline-pumping world of dirt track racing. Buckle up now. You're sitting with the Slimy Bastards.